I think with Veli, it's a lot of it is just preparation. I think when you're a young player, there's so much to learn, and sometimes it just goes back to habits. And we talked about it a lot last year, and he got way better as the season went on. But it's habits and then it's leadership. And I think what we've seen so far in the winter is him taking a more like active leadership role. And obviously Sonny is a great leader for us, but you kind of see the development of Arvell being a leader as well. And Malcolm Jenkins talked to our guys last year, and I thought he had a great message for everybody. He said, like, everyone should want to be like the leader or like the captain of their class, and it's like a mindset. So I've kind of adopted that, and obviously Malcolm and I played together. But the whole idea of, like, if you're Peyton Pierce or Garrett Stover, you guys should both be like the leaders of your class. You know what I mean? And then obviously that trickles down to TJ, Riley, and Eli. But it's just a mindset. It's a mindset anyway. If you're a linebacker, you just naturally have to be a leader. You got to communicate so much. So it's getting him to kind of, for Veli, get out of his shell, which he did last year. And I on purpose, would roomed him with like Cody Simon on the road for multiple reasons. Make sure that he was awake and coming to meetings on time. But just like there was a maturity, obviously, that Cody had, having gone through it, and pairing him with Veli. But he's had a phenomenal winter so far, and I'm excited to see him compete here once we get back.
That's how you try to coach that, huh? Because in essence, when coaching somebody to be a leader, pair them with a leader.
I mean, yeah. I think a lot of times, leadership, it's hard. Like, you can try to teach leadership for sure, but a lot of it's like, it's just caught. You know what I mean? Like, when you're around it, you just see it. And everybody has a different style. So that's one of the things I've stressed to Arvell. I've even stressed it to Sonny. Like, you guys don't have to be Cody Simon. Just because Cody Simon was a great leader, he did it in his way. Like, if you try to be somebody else and you're not authentic to yourself and your own personality, then the locker room will notice. Like, if you're a guy who's pretty quiet and all of a sudden you're trying to give all these uncomfortable rah-rah speeches and it's not who you are, like, that's not going to go over well. You know what I mean? And I've always seen people do that. And so you have to get comfortable in, like, who you are. A.J. Hawk was a great leader. A.J. barely said anything when we were at practice. But then when A.J. spoke, you're like, okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but he was quiet. He did everything right. He worked his tail off. So there's ways to be a leader and to encourage guys. Some guys are encouragers, and then they go and find a way to move the room by being, one-off conversations. And then there's some guys who can be screamers. And some of that, too, is like, who are you leading? If player A might not respond well to you just trying to yell at him loud, he might need a, encouragement, then pull him aside and be like, hey, I know you got more than that. You know what I mean? We need you. We're depending on you. But it has to be one-on-one, because if you embarrass him in front of the group, they'll shut down. Where player B can be like, you can yell at him all you want, and he'll be fine. You know what I mean? So, like, you have to know your teammates. That's part of leadership. And so it takes time. It takes time each and every day with everyone that you play with, and it's the same thing as a coach, right? Like, it takes time. You need to invest time in your guys so that they know that you care about them. That way you can be hard on them. If you don't invest that time and you're just trying to yell or motivate, it's just going to go in one ear out the other. So leadership's the same way.
What did the spring look like for CJ? Like, where can he play?
I think CJ is going to be moved around a lot. It's funny, when we hired Matt Patricia, the first person I thought of was CJ, because I think it's like Matt Patricia. Well, like, some of the stuff that he's done was similar-ish. Like, I know Al Golden was with him at Detroit. You know what I mean, at the Lions. So, like, there's some stuff that at least we did over there at Notre Dame that we'll see if we're able to kind of implement some of it here. I'm sure some, maybe not others, depending on what our guys do best. But I just thought about CJ because it's a fresh start, a new set of eyes on him, and I think it's an opportunity to be multiple and use him at what he does best. And so that's the exciting thing. When you really study what Coach Patricia has done in the past, is he likes to take, like, okay, who are our players, and then let's build it around those guys. And I think CJ's had a hell of a winter, and I think he's one of those guys. So I'm excited to see how we get creative and use them when we get to the spring.
Does that mean he's going to be like float as more of an edge defender,
I think yeah, I think he has that. But I think that's exactly what kind of like potential CJ has is the ability to, get on the edge, move around. The nice thing about that is that you're not handicapped just with CJ doing one thing off the edge. I think you have the ability because he understands conceptually zone drops, linebacker terminology, right? You can get really creative with how you use him. Um, but I think he definitely needs to be utilized more as a just go after the quarterback and go be disruptive and go attack.
Is he going to be in your room, James?
Oh, I don't know. I'll find out on Monday when we get back.
What about Matt as a leader of you guys as coaches? How's he all fit with you guys, and how are you seeing that? And how'd you feel about the hire?
I mean, I love the hire. I've had a lot of respect for Coach Patricia. Heck, ever since he worked me and Marcus out back here, we were joking about that when he first was in the interview process, just kind of how fast time goes. But I'm really excited just to continue to learn. Like I said, it's funny because there's some terminology that when I was at Notre Dame you can use, and I can at least speak some of his language with what he's called things before, and you're trying to morph everything together, right, with things that we've done, with what he knows what to do. Like it's a lot, and but he's been incredible with. I think the staff. He's very organized. He's detailed. You'll have constant and clear communication. Hey, we're going to get together at this time, and boom, and like you're just efficient, and you're rolling. And it's been a lot. Like when you're come from outside and you come back into it, and you have to try to catch them up on the recruiting boards, and like you have a lot of these conversations. Okay, what are we looking for at these positions now? Like how do you see it? Because under one coordinator you might see, hey, the Mike linebacker needs to be this, and then under this coordinator, well, I think the Mike backer needs to be this. So you have to have those conversations at every position, and you just kind of keep going through. And but I'm just excited to learn. I think the more systems. I mean, look, played in a system here in college, played in a system under Steve Spagnuolo, played in a system under Tim Walton, played in a system under Greg Williams, Dennis Allen. Coached under Al Golden, and then Jim Noel. Like every one of those, there's like different terminology for everything. So you're learning a different language, calling things. You know what I mean? There's just concepts, and I think you just kind of collect over time what you think is really good stuff, and how you do stuff maybe a little different. And I'm just really excited to learn from Matt, who's had a ton of success.
He seemed very excited over there, talking earlier to be here.
Yeah.
Coaching college, which whatever, so long. What's his personality like with you guys? And what do you see?
He's been great. I mean, his energy is incredible. He's very, he's authentically excited to be back in college football. You could tell there's like a yearning to get back to like the why you got into coaching, right? Is to impact young people. It's to impact and teach the game of football. And so the few times he's been in front, kind of like talking to the guys, you can sense like he's excited to just teach ball. You know what I mean? And kind of ironically, like, similar to a lot probably with the things that Chip said last year, right? You kind of get back and you're like, man, I'm just excited to. And so he has that excitement. He's done a phenomenal job, I think, of getting to know the players. Just kind of like walking around versus like popping in, making sure that he's in front of them and they get to know him and he gets to know them. And it's a lot. Like you can imagine when you come in and you have all these guys, right? And you're trying to learn all these guys, trying to learn the recruiting, trying to learn the staff, trying to learn dynamics. Like it's a lot, but he's handled it really well, and he's an old school ball coach, so he's a grinder, so he's doing a really good job.
James, Sonny's probably not going to need to do much this spring. How much more can you get done with the young
I'm not telling him that. Sonny's got to do a lot.
But in terms of Ryan Day already said,
Yeah.
75% or whatever. How much more can you get done with the young guys when we're not worrying too much about it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you're always just looking for competition, especially like in spring ball. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? You're trying to have. It's so cliche, but it's true. Like the iron sharpens iron mentality of you want your room to be super competitive to where, hey, the guy in front of me makes a play. Dang, my next set of 4 plays, I got to go out there. I got to be on point, right? And it's a constant driving of the room forward. And so, yeah, if Sonny gets 50 or how many reps off, 50% or whatever coach said, then that means more opportunity for somebody else to play. Right, and so does that mean more for Arvell? Is that scheme flexibility with Arvell? Are we moving Peyton Pierce around? Is that TJ Riley? Like all these guys, Stove, they're all going to get more reps, which I think is great. That's what you got to do at this point in the season. But I think, yes, there's still stuff that the thing that I love about Sonny is that he's going to be clawing to try to get those reps because he's a true pro, and that's been the most enjoyable thing about, I think, working with him is like you get a kid who's played safety his whole life, comes to backer, and he just wants to learn the why behind everything. And very similar to the fact that Cody, like when you have guys who are that easy to work with, you're not trying to you're not worried about texting anybody in our room about coming over and trying to learn ball. You know what I mean? Like where you at, like they're obsessed with the game of football. They're always around when they're not at class. So it's like, it makes it really easy as a coach because their passion for the game is so strong.
You mentioned CJ in terms of the higher numbers. What can Sonny, what do you envision more with him with all of that stuff?
I think we just have a lot of guys with a lot of length. You talk about Sonny Styles, long, can run. Arvell Reese, long, can run. Like, it's crazy because you see Sonny and you're like, okay, this guy, I wish I was built like that when I played. And then you see Arvell stand next to Sonny and you're like, those, you know what I mean? And so and then you look across the room, as the room warms up, you're like, holy smokes, we just have a bunch of guys, and that's a lot of credit to Mick. Coach Mick does a phenomenal job. I was just talking to Berm about it, to see even our mid-year guys, what they looked like when they showed up during the whole natty run, and they're kind of hanging out during practice, and to see their high school bodies, to see what they look like today before they go away, and the shoulders are all everything is just different, and they've been indoctrinated into the brotherhood, and so I think there's just a lot to work with. And so what he's really good at, right, is and he's talked about it. 1 year he has Junior Seau, Willie McGinnis, Mike Vrabel, Roosevelt Colvin, and those guys. And then a couple years later he has Brandon Spikes. So he's like, okay, I just blitz Brandon up the middle all the time because he was 260 pounds and a beast. And then he always says he was my best nose guard from Mike Backer, right? And then the year after that he gets, got Jamie Collins and Dante Hightower. So now we can do a lot of stuff, right? So there's not just hey, this is what we're doing. We got to plug people into it. It's hey, here's what we got. Let's utilize it. So that's what spring will be. We'll all go in the lab and figure out what that means. I'm sure through spring ball there will be hey, here's what we do really well as a unit, because this unit's going to be different, right? I mean, the unit, we lose a lot of production, so the unit will be different. So you kind of got to reform your own identity, and you got to re-earn that silver bullet nickname and mantra.
How many different guys can?
When you look at Arvell, just seems like he's on a very good track. Is that a good way to describe it? Just what's his ceiling? Just how would you describe Arvell?
He's just right now. He's locked in. He's done a great job becoming a leader, coming out of his shell. I think for Veli, it's all about consistency and just preparation. And I'm proud of Arvell. He's through the season. He got way better at. A lot of it's little things, just note taking and stuff. Sometimes you have these kids are always on their phones and stuff, not in meeting rooms or anything like that, but just naturally. So to get out a pen, paper, and you hear things and immediately, oh yeah, I got it. Well, you do until you're dog tired, and then you forget because you're tired. You know what I mean? But when you really understand it, you know what I mean. You'll play faster, and he got so much better through the year. Just a lot of that's because of Cody, becoming a pro. And then now it's Sonny's pulling him along, and he's pulling Peyton along, and Peyton's pulling TJ and Riley and Eli. And so and Stove, so I love the competition in our room right now, and the way it's made up. But yeah, he's on a great path right now.
How many different guys do you feel can be in that Mike spot? Obviously losing Cody and now having
I think that's something that's fluid as we kind of go, because week 1 Sonny actually started at Mike for us. And Sonny's smart enough to play them all. Arvell is smart enough to play them all. Peyton Pierce is smart enough to play them all. And that's also how do you it depends on what scheme you're running. How are they being utilized as well? You know what I mean? So you could say Mike Backer, whether it's Tommy Eichenberg or Arvell Reese are two different people, and Cody's different from those two. So my challenge to a lot of the guys as they come in is just you got to learn them both. The more you understand about the scheme in general, the faster you will play. You know what I mean? If I just sit here and I say, hey, I got to learn Mike, my drop is this, and that's all I need to know. Well, no, football happens so fast, and all the shifts and motions that, like, if you're out there just playing and you're waiting for a call and you're just reacting, like, you're so worried about what's going on your side of the ball, you don't even recognize that the offense is telling you something with what they're doing. So if I'm out there and also I'm not getting a call, I know what the call should be. And it's like, hey, are we playing, let's go. Now all of a sudden you get it, you can look, I can see, okay, here's what the tight end's doing, that's what the back's doing, here's what plays are coming. But if you just line up and play, it's run or pass every time, like, you don't stand a chance. You got to eliminate plays in your mind by seeing what the offense is doing. Like, they tell you a story every time they line up. They just window dress it. It's like people motion and shift. They're trying to, okay, are they trying to do man zone indicators? Are they trying to make sure that they're getting the same formation, they run the same plays, but they just shifted people, and then they motioned, they moved, and they don't want you to recognize it. So if we're always worried about what word, you know what I mean? So the more you know, the faster you can play, because you're not sitting there thinking, oh, what do I have? You're reacting, because you already know what you have. So my challenge to guys, like, is always to know both. So I think a lot of it would just be on depth. I'm sure guys will get, if Sonny's only doing 50 to 75% of his plays, then probably more guys get more will reps than they've had, because we need more will bodies. That's technically where Sonny has started. But we'll rotate him through and let the production kind of show what it does. And I think sometimes, you'll live with some of the mistakes just from being in a new spot, but you'll be able to judge too, like, who's actually getting in the book. You know what I mean? Who's actually studying both.
How much growth have you seen from Sonny from this time a year ago through the national championship game, and then what's next for you?
Man, I mean, definitely. I know Sonny has big goals, and he should. I do as well for him, and to see how far he's come, the first thing that kind of stands out is just like his footwork has gotten so much better. When you're in the box as a linebacker, you got to be able to. I remember Luke Fickle used to say it all the time. You got to be slow till it's time to be fast. And when you're twitchy like he is, a lot of times, when you're at safety, you're used to pulling the trigger and rolling. Like, you gotta learn how to shuffle and not cross over. And he got so much better as the year went on. I think a lot of people question whether he'd be able to hold up physicality-wise, and he was great. As the season got on, he's really good with his hands. He has a really natural ability to snag. We'll keep challenging him. I think he should be a dominant guy in coverage. Like, he needs to be a guy that we can put on a tight end and be like, he ain't catching the ball. You know what I mean? Because he has that athleticism, and I think we need to challenge him there. Challenge him. I think everything is just, and this is not just Sonny, it's everyone. It's urgency in zone coverage. I mean, the urgency with you have to break on the football to close that space, to not let the ball carrier have so much space on you to cut and make you miss is critical. I think sometimes he can be so athletic that you can get away with some stuff, and he knows it. Like, anything that I'm saying right now, like, he already knows. So the best part is a lot of times, like, he'll come to me before film and already say, like, man, coach, on that play I should have. You know what I mean? Like, he knows. And the best part is that he's humble enough. Our whole room is that they want to be pushed, and they want to be coached. And so, I mean, heck, what else could you ask for, right? Like, so I always ask, like, what do you need from me? Just keep making sure, like, you're pushing me. Don't let me settle. Don't let me settle. And so, he's probably the best in the room at that.
Do you look at Sonny and Arvell and Peyton as kind of your top group of guys right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think going into it, I think it's Sonny, Arvell, Peyton's right up there in that mix. You're accurate there. And then it's like, who else is going to emerge for really the fourth guy? I think that's a healthy way to put it. Yeah, I mean, I think our backers are so competitive that it's, like, I know Peyton Pierce is chomping at the bit, and I know that he's going to push, Vel and Sonny. I know that you could look at Riley and TJ and Eli and Stove, like, those guys are going at it. Like, when we do at these workouts, those guys are going at it, and it's constant competition. You know what I mean? They're trying to fight each other at everything. So, because the reality of it is they're fighting for reps, right? So this game is hard. It's win or loser every single day. And, a lot of the guys are going to make or break, and it starts with the mental preparation, to be honest with you. And because that's where trust starts, right? Like, if you don't know what you're doing, I can't put you out there. So who preps mentally as we get rolling, and then the physical part of it. But that's safe to say this. It's Sonny, Arvell, and Peyton probably have the top three. And then, but like I always say, it's always fluid. It's always fluid. I haven't done this. It's funny. There was one coach who said that I forget which NFL team it was, but he said that what he does is he has the depth chart sit in the front of the room. So like if you're a starter, you're the first row, and then the second row, and he's like, it'll change weekly, sometimes through camp. I'm like, I can't do that. Our guys are, I'm not sure they can handle that. We good? Let's go.
Enjoy Disney
Let's go.
Disney
I will.
World. Sorry.
Don't tell anybody I'm going to Disney.